All right. Hi. I don't know if we have anybody else coming, so I'm just going to go ahead and start because there's a time limit on what I can do with this particular software. So I was going to talk about Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. You saw the little thing I had up. Let me see if I can go back to that. Maybe, maybe not. Share screen.
Oops. Where'd you go? Oh, there it is.
Did that work? Can you see the tree?
Yes.
Okay, good. Excellent. So, here's a question. When I point at things with the cursor, do you see the arrow moving on the tree?
Yes.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so this glyph is the Tree of Life, and it's sort of the symbol that we use in talking about Kabbalah because it makes for a really nice shorthand. I'm going to put myself back on the screen for a moment if I can figure out how. Stop share. There we go. Hi. So a little bit about Kabbalah first. What do you guys know anything about Kabbalah?
No.
A little. I've gone to the Kabbalah Center.
Okay, they're an interesting branch of Kabbalah. So Kabbalah is a Hebrew word that means to receive or that which has been received. So it's a teaching. It's an oral tradition, and it's generally considered to be mouth to ear in unbroken lineage. It's a system for understanding self, for understanding the divine, for understanding how things work. It's a new way of looking at the world. One of the things that I got out of studying Kabbalah is it gave me the ability to order my thoughts more effectively and therefore be more efficient and more effective. Sorry, we're being visited by a cat. You had a question? I'm sorry. Aura, did you say? Did you have Okay, cool. So it's a mystical teaching, and while it was kept by the Jews for since probably the 1500s or so. Hey, Phoenix. Okay, your mic's not on. Cool. While it was kept by the Jews for hundreds of years, it's actually a tradition that transcends Judaism. You find it in Christianity with the Rosicrucians. You find it in Islam with the, oh gosh, hold on, I know this. Oh, here we go, with the Sufis. The Sufi tradition is actually a Kabbalistic tradition. In Judaism, obviously, we find it with the Hasidim, and it's the foundation of Western occultism. But it transcends all of that. If you look at the tree, let me go back to that. So here we have the tree, and there's 3 columns. There's this column here, there's this column on the other side, and then there's this central pillar. And the central pillar is sort of what we aspire to. It's about balance, right? Mm-hmm. And it corresponds to what the Buddhists call the middle way. So it's not just Western tradition that we find it in, we also find it in Eastern tradition, which I always find very exciting. Okay. So that tree, I don't know why I keep putting it away. I keep wanting to refer back to it. If I have this up, can you see me like in the corner or something?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, then I won't worry about it. I'll just keep this up and keep pointing at it. It makes my life easier. So it's a blueprint of creation for one. Generally, when we look at it, these are levels or layers of being is one way to look at it. And most of our conscious experience exists down here in the bottom in this pip here. And when we talk about creation, generally what is explained when you look at the tree is that this is where the divine energy starts. This is, you know, the monad, the one, the all that is. And energy comes down in a lightning bolt pattern from that space. Oops. There we go. From that space down in a lightning bolt pattern. And with the energy coming down, I have to remember to point with the cursor, not my hand. With the energy coming down, it goes through all of these various stages of being, which correspond to pretty much everything out in the world, but also everything internally. Just as an example, this is our physical space down here, and this would be kind of dream space. And then as we move up, we get into, this would be the balance between emotions and logic at this level. And this is the level of connectedness. It corresponds to like the heart. And then this is a very archetypal level. The two pillars are known as the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy. And the easiest way for me to explain these pillars is that everything in the universe is matter, right? Energy, everything's made, or rather, everything in the universe is made up of energy. Matter is energy, and energy has a push and a pull to it, right? It's that motion that defines energy, is the push and the pull. And this side would be the pull, and this side would be the push. So it even goes down to like that molecular level of energy. And so when we talk about the pull, we talk about form, we talk about contraction, we talk about limitation. It's the receiving as opposed to the action. This side is the active side. It's force rather than form. It's freedom or expansion. It's mercy rather than severity. So you have, you know, when you're doing something, you put energy out there, you take an action, and then you receive the result on this side. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the fun bit. So if this is severity and severity is limitation, it's like if you were all the way on the side of severity, you would be always in boundaries and always no. You know, it's for lack of a better term, the bitchy side of the tree. Okay. And this side is, it's the nice side. It's the side that says, oh, that's okay. It's the doormat side, right? And you want to have a balance between those two. The question that so many people always have is, well, what is the balance between, you know, having boundaries and letting people walk all over me? Well, it's compassion. It's having the boundaries as a kindness. And that's what this pillar is. This is, you know, it's the fastest way back up to the divine, if you want to look at it that way. But it's also the most challenging. You know, it's hard for us to stay in compassion. And it's, if you're looking at it this way and there's an up motion to it, it's like trying to climb straight up a hill as opposed to taking the switchbacks. You know? And so, yeah, I'd like to take the shortest path between point A and point B. But that's not always the simplest. You know, sometimes that really wears on you. You know, and trying to be in compassion all the time is very challenging. But that's one way of looking at just the basic structure of the tree. So the tree is made up of these 10 pips, also known as sephira, and then 22 pathways in between them. And each section, each part, whether it's a pip or a pathway, is a shorthand for an archetype. Okay. It's a little more expansive than the Jungian archetypes, but it's a really good way to trigger information for us, because the thing about archetypes is that we look at a grand symbol or an archetype and it triggers sort of a cascade of information for us. And this, someone's got a door going. And so the way I teach Kabbalah, just as an example, It's very experiential. We actually take a month in each pip and we move up the tree. We move through these various stages of development. We move through these various bits of awareness. And it's really interesting to watch because we do sort of a check-in every month at the beginning of class, and everybody is going through the same stuff or the same themes, just by virtue of being in this class. And I had a student who started the class with their cohort, and they ended up having to drop out somewhere around here, I think, somewhere around class 5. And she came to me right when the class got to here. She was like, I'm having the strangest experience. All of this stuff is going on. I'm like, oh, you're still moving up through the tree. You know, the rest of the class just went through the abyss. They just went through this big transformational experience. And so did you. You just did it without the book learning. So, once you start, the tree ends up kind of working you as well, because it's a natural development for us. So once you kickstart. Sorry?
In Kabbalah, tree work you.
Yes, exactly. So it's really fun to watch. I don't know if it's as fun to go through, but it's fun for me to watch. So this glyph, the symbol, is a two-dimensional representation of well, we can look at it in the 3-dimension. We can also look at it as a 4th-dimensional thing, because there's a lot of energy and no time and no space going on. But just as a simple 3D structure, if you were to put the tree of life, if you were to superimpose the tree of life on your body, the head and the top of the head ends up being here up at the top. Your feet end up being here. This middle pillar travels through your spine. It's like your Hara line. And then you have these side pips in front of you and behind you. So it doubles. It becomes I'm trying to, it's hard with the camera just to explain. But so you've got essentially a tree in front of you and a tree behind you, but the middle pillar, there's only one, and it goes down, and then it rotates around you. And so while theoretically all of the sephira, all of the pips on the left side of the tree are all on the pillar of severity, as the tree spins, they end up on the mercy side. And so there's sort of two sides to each of these coins, if you will.
Okay.
So generally, like when we talk about, say, this pip here, we talk about the archetype of swords, of cutting away the BS, that kind of stuff. But there's a level of compassion to cutting stuff away. Think about, for instance, if someone has a gangrenous leg. Is it merciful or severe to cut off that leg?
Both.
Right. The question and the answer both end up being in Gevura in this pip here. And so that question shows both the merciful and severe side of the cutting away of poison. But it's an easy shorthand to generally talk about this side of the tree as being severe and this side of the tree being merciful. Let's see, scanning my notes really quick. So you can't have one side of the tree without having the other side of the tree, partly because it's a relative explanation, right? I mean, severe has to be more severe or less severe than something.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also, it wouldn't exist if you only had one side of the tree, because everything in the universe has this push and this pull. And when you talk about only being on the force side of the tree, for example, force without form, force without limitation, energy without limitation, push without the pull becomes chaos. It's just energy going out. There's no restriction to it. It doesn't have the chance to actually create anything. It's like a sneeze. And this side, form without force. So a container without anything in it. The word we tend to use when I teach Kabbalah is abomination, but we have this weird connotation to the word abomination that I don't think should exist. It just means that it's out of balance. It's off. They have in laboratories created life from an egg without using a sperm. But I would say I don't have the exact number, but I think it's about 96% of the time, there's a genetic mutation that occurs.
Yeah.
And so form without force, the feminine without the masculine, and it's not about, genitalia or XY chromosome. It's literally that push or that pull. But this side of the tree without any of this side of the tree creates mutation. It's in that sense, it's an abomination. It's lacking the oomph to develop appropriately. And so that's another reason why we aspire to kind of be in balance. Sometimes it's a lot more comfortable to be over on the Severity side of the tree and just be like, yeah, no. And sometimes it's just easier to be on that side of the tree and go, oh, that's okay, sure, whatever, I'm good. But if we don't bring in the other side of the tree from wherever we are, we eventually run into problems and discomfort. So, even if you're going to spend time on one side of the tree, you have to make sure you have balance and kind of, allow the pendulum to swing over to the other side of the tree. In Kabbalah, we talk about 4 worlds. And really, that's not so much like the shamanic 3 worlds as just different perspectives of looking at stuff. So we can, in going up the tree, like on a very physical level, we can talk about the physical archetypes. We can talk about animals that correspond to these areas. We can talk about personal development stuff. So, like logic and emotion that correspond to those areas. If you take it up a level, you start talking about more, if you're going on the scientific side, more energetic forms, laws of the universe. And on a more woo side, you're talking about like orders of angels and stuff. And so, whether it's gravity or a particular order of angels that tend to hold things together, it's the same information, just different shorthand for it. And then if you take it up one more level, you get into that area of archetypes where you have to have the idea of a chair before you make a chair. You have to have an idea of what the hell a chair is, otherwise you can't make a chair. And it corresponds on a more woo level to the archangels. So that high level archetype of justice or protection or what have you. And then at the 4th level, the top level, the 4th world, it's literally aspects of the divine. Within Judaism, they talk about God having 72 names. And in other traditions, they will have pantheons, and to me, that's just different aspects or manifestations of divine energy. Again, archetypal stuff. But they really do correspond to these different areas. And I'm a big fan of the Sufi story about the blind man examining the elephant. Are you guys familiar with that one?
Yes.
Vaguely.
So you have 3 blind men and they're examining an elephant. They can't see, right? So one of them's got the tail and they're like, oh, well, the elephant is spindly and has a tuft at the end. And one is examining the leg and they're like, no, the elephant is big and solid and immovable. And then someone's got the trunk and they're like, well, no, but the elephant is all flexible and it's kind of soft and squishy on the end. And they're all right. They're all correct, but they're incomplete. And that, to me, is a really good analogy for the divine. If the divine exists and if the divine really is all that, there's no way that you're ever going to be able to grasp that concept. It's the universe, And so this is the Tree of Life is a convenient shorthand at that level to break down those ideas of those different aspects, the leg, the trunk, the tusks, whatever, so that we can better understand it. The point to me from a mystical point of view of being able to understand the various aspects of God is to better understand ourselves.
Yes.
If you understand yourself better, it's easier for you to be in control of your actions and reactions and responses. And therefore to be more of who you want to be,
Yeah.
And that to me is a big part of any mystical practice, is actually becoming much more self-aware and therefore much more self-controlled and self-manifesting, if that makes sense. I get to put out into the world who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I get to actually be that person. It's not a mask. I get to actually be that person that I want to be. Let me check time. Okay. So before this thing cuts us off, do you guys have questions? Has that helped you understand a little bit of what I've been talking about?
Yes.
Bit of an intro, yeah.
Sorry?
Bit of an intro there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely trying to see, how much can I impart about what it is within the span of, half an hour.
Yeah. That's a good chunk of information, and I really like the format.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this works.
Deli, any thoughts?
What does the dotted line circle mean?
The dotted line circle. So everybody agrees that there are these 10 pips, right?
Sure.
And then there's this space that gets called a hidden or secret sephira. And when I teach, I don't teach 10 classes, we're just doing the pips. I don't teach 10 classes, I actually teach 12.
Oh.
I teach an extra class for this one. The translation of that space is called hidden knowledge. Not secret knowledge, but hidden knowledge. So to me, it's kind of like a library, okay? And it's also considered a gateway to this. There's a transitional space that exists here in between these two levels. And Da'at, this dotted pip, is a gateway to that. And the space is called the abyss, which sounds scary, but
It does.
but it's the place where all of your unresolved fears sit, because it's your unresolved fears that are going to reach out and grab you at some point during your progression.
Drag you down a bit.
Yeah, they try to keep you from progressing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go through this space, you go through the hidden knowledge first to really get some clearer understanding about what within you is hidden, at least the way I teach.
And by acknowledging that, you see it.
Well, and when you acknowledge it, you own it. It doesn't own you anymore. Because you can see, I see what you're doing there, and so you get that information, and then you cross the abyss. You basically say, I am walking past my fears. It's the Dune of, allowing fear to just pass through me.
Over you,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come to this level, which is super archetypal, and it's much easier to talk about this part of the tree in words. This is way more experiential. If you're not teaching experientially, I have no idea how you deal with that part of the tree, because the words aren't good at that point. You've kind of transcended that point. But anyway, so this is not everybody when they teach will talk about this pep, because it's confusing to a lot of people. Personally, I have this theory that Malchut, this bottom one where we kind of hang out, used to be up here, and that's sort of a visual representation of the fall from grace.
Okay.
It's something to play with. There's a lot of different ways to look at this, but mostly it's that part of the tree that a lot of people who don't have like a mystical understanding, who only have a book learning experience, don't really talk about, because they can't grok it. But it's kind of there, it's not there. It's kind of there, it's not there. Kind of a pip, But we have a lot of stuff in our lives that does that, so it still makes sense to me.
That is helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
There's it reminds me of something that I remember hearing about in the Kabbalah called the Satin,
Hmm.
and it almost sounds like it's the tester.
Yes. Yes.
Is
That would be a really good way to look at it. Well, the abyss to me is more of the tester than this. This is the opportunity to discover the shit before it reaches up out of the abyss and grabs your ankle. I like being prepared and forewarned, personally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, before this thing boots us out, do you guys have any comments on the software, Deli? I know you sat through one of these before with me with a different software package, and Aura, you haven't seen this yet. So, thoughts?
This one didn't give me any problems right off the bat like the other one did.
Okay, good.
I have a lot of mods on my Chrome, so
Right.
that could have been the cause in the first case, but this one didn't give me any problems. I just clicked the button that you linked and it started right up and there was no problems.
Sweet. Okay, I like to hear that. Yeah, I ran a second one in that other software, and we had problems that
Yeah.
time too. So
It was work time, so I couldn't go.
yeah,
Mhm.
no worries.
What I noticed at the beginning was that it was taking a moment to kind of rev up and meet your mouth and the volume matching. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The visual and the volume matching. But at this point right now, it's on full match. It's all synced on
Sweet.
mine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a software that we can use free if we're only doing 40-minute stints, but if we want to do more, it costs money. So I
Awesome.
figured I would try it on the free mode and see if we liked it. So
Right. I like it.
yeah, I'm going to do one more with a different software just because I feel like I should test everything out that's an option and then make a
Right.
decision from there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But even the picture, the picture that you have is sharp.
Okay, good. Good.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Phoenix, I know you've got your camera off. Do you have a microphone? I'm trying to figure out where the chat might be.
Oh yeah, this one don't have a chat window for it. The other one we did, but I'm not sure you could see it.
I could see it. It just wasn't scrolling. It was really weird.
Oh, I could see it fine. That one I could see fine the whole time.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have the chat window at all.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if we have one in this one. I know we did in the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Haha. All right. Phoenix, if you want to open up the chat window and type something.
I'm trying to figure that out. I have no idea how to do that.
All right. There
Oh,
was,
down at the bottom.
Yeah.
mine was up at the top, which probably doesn't help much, but
It's at the bottom for us.
okay.
There's a search window, and then I see everybody's name, but I'm not seeing a place to type anything.
There's a little thing that says chat that should be highlighted now because you've chatted in it. And if you click it, it should open up a Zoom group chat. Maybe you can
No.
mouse over the very bottom of your screen.
Nope.
Could it be that I am, because I'm on my phone?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
could
might
be.
it
I don't
might be
know.
something like that. All right, but I can at least hear you, so that's good. Phoenix, did you have any commentary about anything or any questions?
This is a great system. No commentary and no questions at this point. I appreciated the presentation, and I was glad to hop on. I got here
Awesome.
late, so
Okay, sorry about that.
no, it's not your fault. I forgot. It was on my calendar, and all of a sudden my calendar went, hey, you have this thing you're going to do. So I just was late to the party. But it was, I'm familiar with the tree, and it was an interesting perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated that a lot.
Cool, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Somebody's scribbling all over the screen. I love it.
I was touching the screen and I didn't realize I could do that, and I stopped.
That's
they're
kind of cool.
not seeing it for whatever it's worth.
It's good. I like it. Because that way, if you have questions, you can be like, but this thing here.
Yeah. That's true.
All right, cool.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you,
ladies.
Tara.
Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mandy.
All right.
Good night.
Take it. Good day.
Bye.
Bye.